Hey y'all, Little Horse Creek Adventures out here today. Got a little bit of something other going on with the pontoon motor. Today was going to be the prettiest day we was going to have in about 2 weeks coming up, and we was going to try to go fishing. So yesterday afternoon I started getting the pontoon ready. It'd been about maybe a little over 3 months since we had been to the lake, so it was going to take a little doing. Had to wipe some bird poop off the seats and such stuff as that from it sitting under the shed here. Started getting things ready. Come to find out, you know, I keep the batteries on trickle charge on an onboard charger, but turned out one of the trolling motor batteries had gone bad, and the other one was really weak. But that wasn't no big deal. I figured I could take care of that, and I did. wasn't no problem. Then I run the water hose around here, hooked it up to the motor just to blow the cobwebs out of it and make sure it crunk up good and busted off just like you'd expect it to. I was real happy. Things was moving along. Then I decided, well, I'm gonna trim the motor up and drain the water out of the housing. And so I did. I come around here and I hit the on motor trim button and run the trim up, and then I went on about my business. I was going to let the foot drain a little bit, and after a while I figured, well, I'll come on back out here and trim it back down so, you know, everything can kind of drain in the other direction. Well, I come out here and I hit the switch, and I don't get nothing except a click. Then I tried to, you know, hit the trim up. Same story. No movement. Kind of aggravated me, but anyway, we pulled the plug on going to the lake today to try to figure out what was going on with the motor, with the tilt trim on the motor, and did a little reading up on it, a little research and such as that, and got me a schematic, found me a schematic, and how to trim relay and the switch work. That's supposed to be the switch right there, and there's a big old blue wire coming off of it and a big old green wire coming off of it. The green is trimmed down or tilt down, and the blue is tilt up. Goes up to the relay that feeds the power to the motor, and the motor, it's just a regular DC 12-volt motor like you'd expect. It don't care which kind of polarity is got on the motor. You know, if it's positive up here and ground down here, the motor runs one way. If it's positive down here and ground up there, the motor runs the other way, for the hydraulic cylinder, to pump the hydraulic oil for the cylinder. And then you got the main ground for the relay itself, and then you got the power lead going on to it. So like I say, I got my schematic, got me some tools laid out here. Might not need the screwdrivers, but you don't ever know when you might need to stick a screwdriver in something or other. And from what I could read up, most everything was 10mm. So I got my 10mm socket and my 1/4-inch ratchet. As you can see, I done pulled the cowling off the motor, and the relay is supposed to be up underneath this cover right here. The cover is marked fuse. But at least I'm hoping the relay's under there, because I don't see nothing that looks like the relay all the way around the motor. Got the motor all jacked up in the air and can't get it up or down. So I'm gonna have a little issue getting a good camera angle on this thing, but we're gonna do a little bit of troubleshooting on it, try to figure out what we got going on. I mean, there's any number of possibilities, but the three main possibilities is something going on with the tilt trim switch that's right here. Oh, by the way, the tilt trim switch up at the helm on the throttle, you get the same thing with it. So I don't think it's going to be the switch, because the likelihood of two switches in two different locations going bad at the same time, I guess it could happen. But I'm hoping it ain't the switch. But anyway, that's a possibility. The other possibility is the relay itself in there. And then the one that scares me the most is that it could be the actual electric motor that pumps the hydraulic oil for the lift cylinder right there. I definitely hope it's not that. But we're not going to know until we get into it a little bit. And then of course there ain't no guarantees in that. But let's get started and see if we can get the cover off the fuse panel and see if the relay is up underneath it. Let me see, have we got it? Yeah, we kind of got it. All right, we got a clip here, we got a clip up here. I'm gonna press them down. All right, it ain't turning loose, so there's another clip somewhere. That's open right there, and that goes down closed. Oh, I feel it. There's the other clip. So got that popped off. All right, that come off good and clean. Lay that off to the side. Yep, there's the fuses, and there's the tilt trim relay that we're looking for. All right, let me try to get a look at this screen. Yeah, that looks kind of okay. All right, what we got? All right, sure enough, we got a blue wire coming in here. We was expecting that. The blue is the up. We got a green. I don't know whether you can see the green color wire out from underneath that boot, but the green is coming up right here. This black one right here should be the ground, or the negative post on the battery. And here go the red one right up right there. I don't know whether you can see the red past that blue. There it is, right back in there. So that's the hot wire feeding the relay itself. So that's the positive off the cranking battery. All right, let's go on ahead and kind of slide these boots back a little bit. See what we got going on. Alright, got that pulled back nicely. And tell you what, let's go on ahead and check to see if we're throwing voltage up here on the relay. If the switch is throwing voltage up there. I got my negative lead. I got my meter set on 20 volts DC, I'm going to reach in here. I'm going to get me a good solid ground for the negative side of the battery. Then I'm going to take the red cable off the meter, and we're going to try to read with it. I'm turning the meter on, and now let me double check. All right, we're on 20 volts DC, so on a 12 volt system we ought to be fine and dandy. Now I'm gonna touch the blue. There ain't nothing on the meter. I'm gonna touch the green. There ain't nothing on the meter. That makes sense. That's what we'd expect. Actually, from what I understand, the way the relay works, when the relay is at rest like this, the actual green and blue wires are grounded out. But anyway, oh, and the green and blue wires, as I had mentioned, that's what's actually going back to the motor that runs the hydraulics. But let's see. I'm going to go ahead and clip on to the green, which is supposed to be the down. Now let me move this around and try to get you on the meter so we can see what the meter's telling us. Yeah, stay still, stay still. Oh yeah, that's better. Maybe that won't flip over. Alright, it's on the green. That should be down, so I'm gonna hit. Can you still see it? Yeah, okay, I'll lean it over there. Alright. Alright. Yep, got voltage, so that's what we'd expect. Release the switch from the down position, the voltage goes away on the meter. Now I'm going to reach up here and clip on to the blue wire, and you can see it's 0. Now I'm going to hit the up. Blue's supposed to be up, so I'm going to hit. Yep, got voltage on the meter. Yep, that's what we'd expect. So I'm going to say that the actual switch, the tilt trim switch, is okay, because it's throwing voltage, the right voltage, as we would expect. So now, let me move the camera back around over here. And try to get back on the relay itself. Yeah, that ain't too bad. It ain't all that good, but it ain't bad neither, I don't reckon. Take that off. Take that meter lead off. Turn my meter back off. Now let's lift them blue and green leads. Yeah, got that one roped loose. Come on, there you go. All right, got that one broke loose. Looks like, all right, we got that. We got a flat and a lock. I'm going to leave that in the order that it come off. I'm going to lift the blue back. Kind of get it out of the way for a minute. Now we're going to back out the green. And same deal, we got a flat and a lock. I'm going to leave them in the order that they come off. Set them over there off to the side. And now, got the green loose, got the blue loose. Let me see if I can uncover the ground. There's just a little old plastic safety cover cap. Alright, I don't know about this. We got to be really careful lifting the red cover or guard off, because that wire is hot. I mean, it should be hot all the time. If we throwed the meter on it right now, it ought to be hot. And there's some good lube on there too. Alright, again, just a little protective cap. I'm going to set it to the side. Alright, we done tested the voltage. It's sending from the switch up to the relay. So now I think it's time to actually test the motor itself, the hydraulic motor itself. And these is the leads that go down to it. And like we had talked, that motor is just a simple 12-volt DC motor. So you know, one side's going to be ground, one side's going to be hot when it's energized and working in one direction, and then to make it go in the other direction, the wires flip around. So I'm going to ground out the green, and then I'm going to touch the hot with the blue, and the motor should go up if the motor is working correctly. And it ain't. Let's flip them around, or try to flip them around. And it ain't. Alright, that kind of concerns me a little bit. Let's check, make sure there's voltage on that red, and that the black is grounded out. I mean, it's almost got to be. I'm going to put that on the black. Let's go on ahead. We're going to check the meter. Still on 20 volts DC, which should be fine and dandy. Yep, we got voltage right there. So that is a bad sign. Makes me think it's the trim motor. I guess I could go one step further and get me a 12-volt battery and direct connect the two leads It's going to take me a minute to be able to put that together. Alright y'all, I brought me a regular 12 volt battery around, got some jumper cables hooked up, got the negative terminal on the blue. I'm going to go ahead and get my battery hooked up. Got my red jumper cable end right here. I'm going to reach up and grab the green. And we got nothing. That motor should have started spinning right away. And this ain't looking good. Alright. So that ain't working. Tell you what, let's do. Let's check continuity across that motor. You know, if it truly is a simple DC motor with no couples in it or anything like that, you'd expect to be able to read through an electric DC motor continuity. So let's take the meter. We're going to put it on ohms. We're going to turn it on. Now we got it on ohms. I got to make positive sure I don't stick it to no voltage. But let's see, we got open circuit right there. And we got total continuity right there. So the meter's reading the way we would expect for checking continuity. And again, you should be able to read right straight through the windings of an electric motor, DC electric motor. So I'm going to reach right up here and clip on to the leads going to the motor. Then we look down here at the meter, and it's still an open circuit. It's like it ain't hooked to nothing. No difference. Alright. Yep, that's a bad sign. Thinking it's going to be the motor now. Probably going to do a little bit more troubleshooting and start looking to see how to get that electric motor out off that cylinder housing. Okay y'all, we back at it out here working on that trim. Been about 3 weeks. It took us a little while to be able to get the replacement trim motor in here, and yeah, we did go with the genuine Yamaha part. It's got a price tag on it, but that's what we decided to go with, right, wrong, or indifferent. And already laid out some of my tools for the project, or for getting back on the project. Might not need everything, but wanted to make it ready and convenient to get started back on it. First thing let's do is go on ahead and take the trim motor, replacement trim motor out of the box, take a look at it. And what I've been wanting to do is run a test. You remember we tried to read continuity through the, let's see, okay, there's the the crank arm to go on the end of the motor. I don't see a replacement gasket. I hope that maybe it's on the motor, I don't know. But anyway, remember we checked continuity, tried to read continuity through the DC motor, the old one, on the boat, on the motor, and couldn't read continuity through it. No, there ain't no gasket on that, so I hope there ain't nothing wrong with the old one. Oh my, I hope I wasn't supposed to be able to read that. Alright, let me set that off to the side, and let's see if we can read continuity through this motor. Get the old handy dandy Harbor Freight volt-ohm meter turned on here, got it flipped over to ohms. Let's see if we're gonna be able to see the reading on it. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Alright. Remember the old blue and green wires? That's what we got going on right there, and that's what we was expecting and hoping for. Alright, we got open circuit. Got closed circuit. Goes to 0. Open circuit. Back to infinity, and that's exactly what we would expect. Now let's go on ahead and check, see if we can read through this motor. Look at there, goes to 0. We can read through this one, so the windings are complete in this motor. And you remember we couldn't see that on the old one when we tested it. Alright, so now I want to show you some things. Let me turn that back off, and for safety's sake run it back to 750 AC. I want to show you some things. I've been kind of prepping the motor for getting back on it, trying to get ready to get the pigtail of the old motor out so we can get the new pigtail in. The Yamaha engineers, they did a great job of buttoning everything down. It's no telling how many zip ties I done cut off of the cabling. I took the flush out. There was a clamp. See the clamp on that? Actually, it's a double clamp. That was right there, and it had all that clamped up in there. I then took it loose, so we can work with that. The bigger sheathed set of wires here is the pigtail for the motor. It goes through that hole up underneath there on the casting of the clamp, comes down right back in there. Oh, and I pulled the bottom pin off the actual trim cylinder and motor piece so I could get it further out. It was just a snap ring on the end, and it slid out, and there's several bushings we'll have to get back into place under there, but I believe it was fairly easy to do, and I hope it'll make it even more easy to get to these set key or set screw bolts that go down in the housing. But we're gonna have to fish our way through that big old rubber grommet. I don't want to tear it up, but there's the motor wires. I want to show you some other stuff inside, and like I say, there was multiple zip ties here and there. I don't know that you're going to be able to see it right here, but my big old hand's in the way, I know, but maybe you can see that bolt head right back in there. That's a clamp holding it down. I'm going to go around to the other side. Might be able to see it a little bit better, but here's another clamp bolt going down through there. I loosened it. This thing slides back and forth around, or pivots back and forth around, and it sets on that stud right there and holds all this down into place. Wouldn't you know, the trim motor wires is on the bottom of that bundle. I'm gonna have to fish it up out of there. But I've already taken the leads of the motor off the trim relay that's right in here. We've already kind of talked about it and took it apart and put it back together as far as the motor leads are concerned. But I'm gonna go on ahead and kind of fight that wire back out, try to get it out of the motor compartment, out of all the clamps, and we'll get back to it in just a little bit. Wanted to share with you something that I decided to do. I don't know whether I'm going to need to do it, but I ain't expecting a real easy time fishing this thing through the boot, that or grommet boot, and the bottom casing of the motor. So I'm going to tape me a pull wire to the motor leads before I pull it back through, in hopes that that will help me get the new set of leads through the motor. I'm just using a piece of insulated 14 gauge wire that I stripped out of a piece of 14-2 with ground Romex, nothing special. I'm going to tape all the way out, cover up those rings, those crimp rings, so as to hopefully keep them from cutting the grommet or boot as it goes through. Might not do me no good. I might be aggravated with it before it's over, but I figured I'd play it safe, because like I said a while ago, them Yamaha engineers, they flat got this thing squished in there very nicely, very securely, and of course for an outboard motor, that's a good thing. Alright, I'm going to try to pull it back through. Okay, you know, I mentioned a while ago I pulled the pin out of the bottom of the trim. And you know, a lot of folks don't do that. A lot of folks say you wouldn't have to do that, and you don't have to do that at all. But let me show you why I did it, and again, with a good set of snap ring pliers. It's not a great big deal, but I did it so I'm not, you know, this thing would normally be up in there about like that. Now you got to fish your socket with your hex key, and that's a 5mm hex key, but you'd have to fish it down in behind, all up underneath all this stuff right here. You can do it with the right length extensions, but this is why I pulled that pin. I can spin that right around just like that, and I can get right to those two back hex bolts. Alright, I'm going to crack them out of there. Okay, I got the old motor lifted out, and I done pulled the gasket off of it. It looks okay. I'm going to wind up having to use the old gasket back. I will inspect it a little bit closer, but down inside there's this kind of like a drive shaft piece. It's keyed on both ends. That's the end that goes to the motor, and it is slotted. And there's the end that goes to the pump, and you can see the slot in it. And that, you can't see it down in that oil, but there's a stud that, or shaft that slides right over and spins the pump. And I am going to try to set this thing up. This is the old one. I'm going to try to set it up to where I get the markings facing right back towards me, because it's got to line up with the way the motor is slotted. See how the shaft on the motor is slotted, and that here's the new drive shaft link. I don't know whether you can see the slot down inside, but can't go like that. It's got to spin so it'll slide on up on there. But I'm going to try to get that lined up right, going to inspect the old gasket and try to get the motor back on the frame. Okay, we got those pieces lined up. It fell right into place, made it up beautifully when it went on. I've put the hex key bolts back in, all 4 of them. I want to mention something right now that I think is well worth mentioning. This base plate on the motor is plastic or Bakelite or ABS or something. It's not cast iron, it's not cast aluminum. Don't want to yonk down on these hex key bolts too hard, because you don't want to break that mating plate right there. I'm gonna have to be really careful. Now I don't know what torque to put them down to, and I don't have a torque wrench that small, no way, I don't believe, to be able to get in there if I did know the torque. So I'm gonna have to just kind of ease down on it and be careful best I can, and I recommend the same to anybody else that's doing it. Tina, I'll tell you, I ain't no strong man by any stretch, but I got a bad habit of putting just a little bit more yonk into something other and then breaking it. So let's be real careful going down with these, and then we'll go from there. There's a few things I want to mention that I've failed to mention, and I should have. One is, before you get all involved in all this mess, you're gonna have to get that motor up. We had a time. I mean, we ended up using a front end loader, a salvaged retrieval strap or rescue strap or recovery strap, whatever you want to call it, and a come along to kind of adjust as you go up. Once we got it up, you want to make positive sure you put that stiff leg down and it's in its little pocket. There's a little groove in that casting where it's supposed to be. That stiff leg or support brace, whatever you want to call it. You want to definitely get it in place before you start messing around with any of this. And to release the pressure on the hydraulics, there's a spot over here that's got the motor, shows the motor, and it goes that way, and that's the direction to free up or release the valve inside. See it? I don't know whether you can see it or not, but it says free right there, and it's got an arrow pointing in that direction. It's got a slotted screw, just a flathead slotted screw. I have put the pin back in, and the shims in place, and the bushings in place. I still got to put the ground strap back on right there. I also want to call attention to a couple things right under here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it in the shade, but these retainer clips, you want to train that wire back in that groove, the motor wire back in that groove, and slide those clips back in place. All of the retainers and clips and clamps that I've run into have been 10mm. Those are 10mm. The ground strap bolt is a 10mm. All those that I had pointed out inside are 10mm. I've gone on ahead and made the relay back up, got the boots back over the green and the blue wire, and I'm going to be getting ready to give this thing a try. One other safety issue that I need to mention is, before I started pulling the wires out and off of the relay, I actually lifted the negative terminal on the cranking battery, just in case I was to short something out pulling the wires or getting in there with the wrench. Didn't want a problem. You might also have some questions about why I got all this glob of stuff all over the foot of the motor. You know, it's been 3 weeks us waiting on getting the hydraulic motor in, and during that time we had some mid-teens weather, and we had rain at different days, off and on. You know, typical South Carolina weather. You don't know whether it's t-shirt weather or double overcoat weather during the winter time. But I covered all the foot of the motor up, so it being jacked up like this, it wouldn't catch rainwater and then us go through a cold spell and it freeze, or me have to get the loader back out here and lift the motor, you know, let the motor down, lift it back up, and all such as that. So that's why I got the foot all covered up. I didn't want it catching water and freezing. But I'm going to put that negative terminal back on the battery, and then we're going to give this thing a try. Well, got everything pretty well buttoned down, got the clips back in place, the ground on. Of course, I think I showed y'all that a bit ago. I did check the hydraulic fluid, the trim fluid, and I moved my number 3 wash tub, and I did put the negative terminal, negative wire back on the negative terminal of the battery, so we're hot back into the relay here. And let's give the switch a try. I'm going to go up so I can hopefully move the stiff leg out of the way. So here we go. Let's hope it's all good. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to move the stiff leg out of the way. Got it up. Let's let it down. See how it's going to do. I might better go to the other side and take a look at them wires, because I ain't zip tied them good, but I don't want them to get tangled up in nothing. I think they'll be in the clear for right now. I need to put a couple zips right there. But looking good so far. Let's come on down. Yep, hit that second stage. Bottom right out. Looking good, looking good. Alright, let's come on back up with it. Oh yeah. Looking good, looking good. I think it's been a success. It's taken a while to get there, but we got it going on, and should be pretty well ready to get back to the lake when we get some good weather. Appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate y'all being with us, and see y'all later. Bye bye.